Welcome everybody to the Berwick Planning Board. This is a regular meeting for Thursday, July 16th. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'd like to introduce the board members present tonight. We have David Ross Lyons. We also have on our virtual Skype here, we have regular member Mike LaRue, also Frank Underwood. So we do have a quorum. So Dave, we're missing tonight Sean Winston and the Vice Chair Nicole Fecto. So Dave, you'll be voting tonight. Moving on to public comment session. Public comment sessions open to any proper. Say that again.
I can hear you, Mike. I can hear you too, but I can't hear Dave or James. No, can't get the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm unmuted.
I think we're good.
I don't know.
Can you hear me now?
Must be something on James's end.
You can't hear me?
Yeah.
You're muted. You're muted.
It should come through here. Hey. Oh, hey.
Hey.
Can you hear us, Frank?
Dave's muted.
No.
Yeah, there's just no sound out.
Both Dave's muted?
Our sound comes from this room.
Yeah.
From the mics.
Okay. Well, I can't hear him.
It's
I can hear Mike and I can hear James. I can't hear anyone else.
BCT's will get it in a minute. It's really just a click of a button that changes the input setting to switch it to these mics. It's pretty high-tech stuff. The beard looks fantastic, Frank.
Now we can't hear Frank.
Yeah, they.
Try again?
Frank, can you hear me? Mike?
No, they can't hear him.
Hello, 1 2 1 2.
Hello?
Frank?
Yellow? Hello? Hello? I like the camera of looking at myself, looking at the TV. It's a flattering angle. Jen's live from the ball games.
She could turn her video off.
Can you hear me? Hello? Is anyone out there? Hello?
Well, you're on mute.
Yeah. It's just the sound eventually comes through. Hello?
Yeah, he's a member of the planning.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, James, where's Jeff going to be tonight? Is he coming here?
It'll be Neil from.
Oh, is Neil coming in, or is he going to?
Zoom.
Okay, Zoom.
Jennifer. Is Jennifer there? She's muted.
Hi, Frank. Hi, Frank.
Did you like the
Can you
red
hear
barn? Did you like the red barn when you drove by it?
It looks so good.
Frank's really
I feel like
taking
you're
this
fine.
quarantine beard to a new
I have
level.
my ways of finding things out.
I live so close to there. It looks so good. I like the color you chose. Did you choose it?
No, I've never chosen a color in my married life.
Same settings I use. That's never going to change either, Frank.
That will never change. And the doors will be a dark gray to kind of match the roof. So
That's going to look so good.
Because your audio's working, And theirs
Yeah.
is,
My
Did you
my
have
audio's
a
working out to
documentary review?
BCTV.
yeah.
I did, yeah. I don't know when you wanna go over it at some point, but,
Anytime you want. You
Okay.
let me know and I will meet you wherever you want to meet,
okay.
outside or whatever.
And I did absently say thank you afterwards, right?
Yeah, I heard you. I was just
Alright.
messing with you.
I know you will.
Yeah. Sorry that you guys can see the sky. I'm sitting at a
No, we wanna
baseball
do
game of
input.
my little guys right now.
Oh,
No.
I have no choice, though.
So, Terry, we want to do input. We want to adjust the input settings.
Town council here or something? Is that-
She's a code enforcement officer.
Who's this guy on here?
I don't know why I put on my mask. I just feel like it's
How was it?
comfort.
not bad.
Good. Good.
Been pretty straightforward. They're just waiting for DEP stuff.
Wait,
That is perfect.
You can
Good
hear
to
me.
Yep.
Frank and Mike, can you hear me?
Huh?
James, she wants to do the input settings. She keeps doing select a speaker, right? Shouldn't it be input? The input going into it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it? Don't you? Dave was saying. Don't you want it?
I actually had to get the well, I'll send her.
I gotta remember to do that. A relative, she must be a relative.
Right.
Dave, you're pretty.
Frank, Mike?
Jonathan, do you know when Patty will have the results of the town warrant posted?
They're up right now, Frank.
Muted himself.
I got something in my email. Oh, sorry. Well, I don't want you guys to hear the cheering. So, I have an email from Patty in my inbox right now. I wonder if that's it.
James, what if she took, she's Terry Wright,
Let me
what if
look.
she took it off of
Usually takes a
mute?
couple, 3 days to get the results on the webpage. So.
This is all.
Hello, you can hear me?
Hold on a
Hello, can you
second.
hear me? Frank and Mike and
She
Jen?
muted herself. Or she muted herself. No,
Not a little, certainly.
that's not it.
Okay.
They're trying to fix the people
Well,
online.
Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Hello?
This might be a really short meeting without a quorum.
Correct. We can zoom in, though. I mean, if we had to.
Oh, is that the railroad?
Hey, testing, testing,
It's true.
testing, testing, testing.
I mean, all three of us have our computers.
now-
All three of us can just zoom right in.
Now that you're unmuted, try the,
You have
the other
headphones?
one, the digital audio interface.
Yeah, actually, I did. Oh,
How about that? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
James, why don't we all just zoom in
Yeah, that's probably what we'll have to do.
at this point? I mean, we're 9 minutes into the meeting.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Do you want to tell Terry? We're just, I mean, all three of us are here. We can all just zoom right in.
Deal with the echoes and stuff. But
I have headphones.
What's the words that I want?
I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna like zoom in and just deal with the echoes and figure it out. And then once you, I think you'll, once the meeting's going, we'll figure it out. You guys are awesome. Yeah, let's just do that.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna be able to hear it through there.
Yeah, but it's gonna be,
There's gonna be a delay.
Yeah, it's easy because I don't like paying.
it's just gonna be an echo. That's gonna be the issue.
At the end of the year.
Well, I'll turn my speaker off.
Right. I'll be quick on the mutes. We're just gonna run it through Zoom. So we're all logging into Zoom right now.
He and I are on the firing squad.
He and his wife are like my guardian angels. They now even feed my kids. My kids just barged into their house, got bacon.
Did you meet his daughter?
Oh, kidding me.
Nice girl.
Update.
The one I met. She is a nice girl. She is a nice girl. Good
Oh,
daughter.
yeah, oh, yeah. She's a
Very personable.
sweetheart.
Hey, David
I,
Ross.
I saw.
Hey, Frank,
Right, that.
what's your email address?
We're okay, man. I
Mine?
think so.
All right, so
Linda,
I'm in the waiting room.
Linda,
Okay.
Frank,
She saw it in the paper.
Yep.
Vanessa, how much did you?
at Comcast.net.
I just saw it, yeah. It came out this
I just have to mute it when we're talking.
He threw it away.
I'm not a fan of when words are, so
No, I
I don't read their property.
No, I just looked, it just happened to look at it. It's been boring.
All right, can we do this meeting?
Yeah.
We're good.
I
All
look
right.
at anything.
All right, Frank, Mike, and Jen, can you hear us?
You're just muted.
Frank, Mike, and Jen, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. All right, we'll move.
Yes, I can.
You could see me too, right?
No, you're black screen.
I don't know why.
I can see you. Never mind. I can see you.
Okay. Moving on. So we introduced the board members. So David Ross Lyons is going to be a voting member tonight. Moving on to a public comment session. It's open to any resident property owner in the town of Berwick to come forward and talk about anything that relates to the planning board. We do have 3 public hearings tonight. So if you'd like to wait until then to discuss that application, you could do that. Otherwise, public comment session is open. Going once, going twice, seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment session. We will have another public comment at the end of the meeting. Next is the approval of minutes for the June 4th, 2020 meeting. So these minutes were, we didn't vote on them, we didn't act on them because we didn't have enough people who were at the meeting before that to vote on it. So these minutes have been brushed up and they're all ready to go.
I move that we approve the minutes of the June 4th meeting.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
We have a second.
Seconded by David Ross Lyons. Any further discussion? All right. Let me just get this back up here. This is a great way to do a meeting here, huh? Why is this not? There we go. All right, roll call vote. David Ross Lyons.
Yes.
Frank Underwood.
Absent. Abstain.
Mike LaRue.
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that is 3-0 and 1 to abstain. Next is the approval of minutes for the June 18th meeting. And this is the same thing. We didn't have enough members present who were at that meeting to vote on that. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve the June 18th meeting minutes.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the June 18th, 2020 minutes. Do we have a second?
We don't have enough people.
What's that?
I don't think we have enough people that were here.
Mike, were you here?
No.
Okay. And I was here, David Ross Lyons was, so we're going to table that once again. Moving on to public hearing, site plan review, adult use marijuana cultivation facility, 11 Pond Road, map R70, lot 16. It's in the RCI zone, and the applicant is CAF Realty of Maine. Just this morning, the town planner was notified that the applicant would like to continue this application to August 20th in order to give him some more time for a DEP permit. So we're going to continue this public hearing tonight and not act on it. And anyway, the planning board can't talk about anything that relates to this application because the applicant is not here. So we'll continue that public hearing until August 20th. Next on the agenda is the subdivision amendment, final plan, lot line adjustment and expansion of site plan, 565 Portland Street. It's map R72, lot 9-2. It's in the RCI zone, and the applicant is Route 4 Self-Storage LLC.
I got Tanner and Neil in the waiting room, but I
Okay.
think they can just wait until old business to let them in, if that's okay with you.
Yes?
Could you just, make it on record that August 20th, there will be opportunity for public comment?
No, there's going to be a public hearing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
The public hearing is continued until August 20th.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right, so this is a public hearing just for this application, 565 Portland Street. It's in the RCI zone Route 4 Self-Storage LLC. Anybody for this public hearing, please come forward. Anybody in the waiting room besides the applicant?
No.
Okay, seeing nobody come forward, we'll close the public hearing. Next is a public hearing for site plan review, multifamily, adding 1 unit to make 3 total. It's 55 School Street, map U3, lot 1. It's in the CI zone and Village Overlay District, and the applicant is Andrea Burns. This is a public hearing for this application alone. Have anybody in the waiting room for this?
No.
Okay. Seeing nobody come forward, we'll close the public hearing on that. Moving on to old business, site plan review, adult use marijuana cultivation facility, 11 Pond Road, map R70, lot 16. It's in the RCI zone, and the applicant is CAF Realty of Maine. The applicant has requested to continue this application until August 20th, and that's when we'll have the public hearing once again. So we'll just continue this application this evening. So we won't be acting on this tonight, and the applicant is not here. So if you were here for that, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, this captivating meeting that we're having, or you could leave as you wish. Next on the agenda is subdivision amendment, final plan, lot line adjustment, and expansion of site plan. 565 Portland Street, map R72, lot 9-2. It's in the RCI zone, and the applicant is Route 4 Self-Storage LLC.
Okay, don't forget to.
Okay, so with that, I'll turn it over to James.
Okay, good seeing you again.
Yeah, good to see you.
Oh, you're in the rain?
I was. Yeah,
I had a friend of mine.
So there, guys.
I had a friend of mine who was in the Green Beret.
I was.
So we had our,
George Jim Hogan. He was in that movie, you know, the Green Beret.
so we had no,
Oh, yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. No, he was in that movie, someone played his part in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Hogan.
we had no,
Oh, Jim Robinson.
butter speak this evening. We went to the sidewalk and it was, pretty simple. They showed us where the expansion is going to go. So basically where the cars are now off of Route 4 are going to be, eventually they're going to go away for now, and then they're going to be replaced with the storage facilities. And then once Tanner finishes the purchase of the property out back, that's where the vehicles will go out back. I don't know.
You're going to have to turn him up.
Say that again?
The use will remain for the dealership for cars. He's just on the site.
So that is storage for vehicles. Yeah, so I don't believe there's any, we were waiting for any leftover materials. So I think we're ready to begin deliberating on the action for the application.
Okay, so I see we have Neil here. Neil, thanks for joining us.
Hello, everybody.
Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, it's, we just allowed, the only thing that have happened since the last meeting is we submissions into the EP, waiting for that. We've been trying to get some more input from the public, but there hasn't been any comments to us to incorporate into the plan. So we'll just be taking the board's opinion into consideration at this point.
All right, Frank, do you have anything?
I guess we're only dealing with a lot line revision. That third lot in the back has kind of gone away for a while, or will be something in the future. Is that true, Neil?
Correct, yeah, that may be something in the future, but for this application, it's just going to be that lot line adjustment to allow us to install the stormwater treatment facilities that the DEP wants to see.
Yeah, and you answered my question about concern about that septic system and stuff.
Correct.
Okay, I'm good at this point.
Mike?
I'm good.
David?
I am good at this point.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be voting on several things. We're going to be voting on the findings of fact. Also, there's no conditions of approval proposed, so actually we're going to be voting on 2 things: the findings of fact and the application approved. So the first motion would be for the findings of fact.
I will make a motion that we approve the findings of fact as judgment, adjustment at site plan, 565 Portland Street.
Okay, so we have a motion by Frank,
I'll second.
seconded by Michael. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Frank Underwood,
Yes.
Michael LaRue,
Yes.
David Ross Lyons.
Yes.
That's a yes, and I vote yes, so that's 4-0. Next is application approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the application as submitted for 565 Portland Street.
Okay, we have a
Second.
motion, and we have a second by David Ross Lyons. Further discussion?
I have one point I'd like to make, and I'd like to thank Neil for his going after the DEP guy, and he came back with a substantial response, when in fact I just asked you for something in writing, so I want to thank you for that effort.
Okay, then, that's most good to me. He's a really good resource on the DVP, so, thank you. I'll send along the appreciation.
I'm all set here.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Frank Underwood,
Yes.
Michael LaRue,
Yes.
David Ross Lyons.
Yes.
And that's a yes, and I vote yes as well, so that's 4-0. All right, thank you, gentlemen.
I gotta go grab Andrea.
Okay. We're just waiting for the next applicant to come in. It's actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would have.
I was concerned.
Is there anyone left in here? I don't think it's
Just you.
Hello.
Hi, Andrea.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Should I just come right to the podium?
Yeah, so how we're gonna do this, since we don't have a camera on you, what we'll do is we'll just use James's camera.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda, site plan review, multifamily, adding 1 unit to make 3 total. It's at 55 School Street, map U3, lot 1. It's in the CI zone and Village Overlay District, and the applicant is Andrea Burns. All right, James, what do you got?
So, similar to the last application, had received no public comments. I think my only thing that I would ask from the board is when you had a chance to take a look at the drainage plan, if that's kind of what you guys were expecting, because I know half the board didn't see it. Other than that, it's pretty simple because it's just the addition of one dwelling unit. So I would again turn it over to the board to deliberate on a decision.
Yep. Thank you. And I know that, I think that Frank and Mike didn't originally see this drainage plan originally, right? Or it was shared on James's screen.
Yeah, it was just included with the packet this
Yeah.
week.
Frank, do you have any questions?
That's just showing the pipe, the hard pack coming in, and that's the sketch you're referring to, James?
Yeah, I mean, it's just dirt, packed dirt now.
Any other questions, Frank? Frank, any other questions? Can you guys hear me over there?
Yep.
Frank, any other questions?
Getting a little reverberation here. The only thing is are we all set on having voted on the waivers? I think we did vote on them.
We did.
Okay. I'm all set.
Yeah, we actually did that before we voted the application complete.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Mike?
I'm all set.
David?
I am good, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, so the first thing that
No butters had issues.
we do not have any conditions of approval on this one. So we're going to be voting on 2 things tonight, findings of fact and application approved. So looking for a motion to approve the findings of fact.
I move that we accept the findings of fact, approve the findings of fact.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by David Ross Lyons. All right, further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Frank?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
I vote yes. That's 4-0. And then final vote is the application approved.
I'll make a motion that we find the application approved.
Okay, we have a motion by David.
I'll Second.
Seconded by Michael. All right, further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Frank?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And David?
Yes.
I vote yes, that's 4-0, so the application is approved. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was fast.
Next on the agenda is new business, land use ordinance amendments. Is there anything that you want to talk about, James? Okay.
All right.
James,
Nope, we're good.
So
Yeah.
are there an official?
Yeah, I'll get to the,
email?
I'll email you the findings of fact
Okay,
when they're signed.
all right, great.
I'm doing that right now.
Perfect. Hey guys. All right. I'm here to talk about some, I think, pretty important land use ordinance amendments. And as always, I think we're going to be up against a time crunch as always with these things. And you know, I hope that these amendments, we can talk through these and we can get on the same page. And if there's anything else that we want to think through, Pat, there may be a special town meeting in October, and Patty would really prefer that we're on that and not be mixed in with the presidential election. So to that end, I mean, if we can do it, we can do it. If not, then we'll talk further with.
Why is there a special town meeting?
Infrastructure. It would be an infrastructure bond. So, to that point, I submitted a series of village overlay district amendments, and I can go over them in detail. So, if you guys want to, I can share my screen if that would be easier.
Sure.
We all follow along together. Dead air is always good. Okay. So the first change is pretty easy. It's really a hybrid form-based code. We don't have a true form-based code because we still have zoning. So it's obviously a very simple change. Going down, again, it's another cosmetic change. We're just asking people to go to boroughcommand.org to see the map instead of embedding the map in the ordinance because they can be amended at different times. Scrolling on down.
Frank's asking questions of you.
Oh. Frank, yeah?
Did the vote pass to amend the article to include that lot?
Yeah.
Okay, so the map will be revised.
Yeah. Everything passed.
Okay.
All right, scrolling on down. I've been speaking with Great Falls Construction on and off about their site plan, which they're moving up right along. So they talked about potentially having Eleanor, or having their main street not come out approximately opposite of Eleanor Street, coming up a little bit further. That's a pretty subjective statement. So I think we should be able to, we're working with Sebago Technics to be able to allow them to figure out where their best entrance onto Sullivan Street is. The next thing in the table, it's striking the mandate that every parking space on Main Street be parallel because it gives them the option to have angle parking too. There will be some instances where you have parallel on one side or angle on the other. If you have angle parking, you can have more parking spaces and that'll alleviate the need for off-street parking lots. That's, go ahead, Frank.
Instead of striking it, should we still leave it, call it parking lanes, but offer up a better description under the narrative over there to the right, instead of just striking the whole thing?
I don't see a reason to prescribe it. I think that whatever they engineer to the best of their abilities, we still will once they're going through planning board, that's still gonna be in your purview. but mandating it seems excessive.
Okay, because you're striking it below too on the next one.
Yeah, so the minimum angle street intersection, I mean, what if it's 89 degrees? It's, again, it's just, if they're engineering it to their best of the ability of their site plan, we want to give them the flexibility to be able to, at least, if they have to tweak it a little bit, once this is mandated, so it's they have to shall. Once they come in and they go, hey, we need to straighten up their street, at least we have room to work with.
But in our performance standards, we're still holding the typical details we have in there for angle parking, head-on parking.
100%.
Passageway between parking spaces and stuff.
Right, 100%. Yeah, everything is still, yeah, we still have a lot, and everything else that's in this, there's a ton of language in here that supports the type of development that we want. The next thing is just striking out the requirement for raised crosswalks. I mean, that seems a little excessive to make it, it might be more advantageous for the main street to be flat, based off of if there's an event happening, it's possible to use that space as function space. So if you have raised crosswalks all over the place, it may not be the best.
Public Works would appreciate it.
Right, and yeah, that, and there's still a question on, the Great Falls Construction is wondering if they're gonna make the road private or have the town adopt it. There's not one clear preference on the one or the other yet.
Okay.
So moving on down. Everything looks good there. This F and G is just clarifying the 4-to-1 ratio. The way that it's written now is that it specifies first residential uses with frontage on Main Street is subject to the 4-to-1 ratio, and then it has a bullet point under it which specifies the area of the triangle is in. I think this just, new residential construction shall not exceed a 4-to-1 ratio. I think it says, ultimately, in my opinion, it says the same thing, but it just makes more sense.
But we're still keeping that 4-to-1 ratio.
Still keeping that 4-to-1 ratio. Still keeping that 4-to-1 ratio. This is the biggest thing, is allowing a drive-through and allowing the buildings to be set back with buildings with frontage on Main Street and School Street, because that building with the drive-through, they're looking at that as their potential anchor tenant, and they need the drive-through component. And the type of businesses that they're considering are types of businesses that are ultimately compatible, and they have it thought through where they can make their drive-throughs still walkable and compatible with a pedestrian-friendly downtown.
What about that provision? My understanding, a lot of this had to do with any land that was back beyond the 5 feet was public space as well.
Right, so this provision just allows them to have this setback only for the buildings that have frontage on both the Main Street and School Street, so it pertains to that location. And say this provision wasn't in there, they still have a design where they can do a drive-through. So even if we didn't allow this, they still would be able to do some sort of drive-through. So it allows them to do a drive-through where they think it best fits. And I had a look at 3 conceptual drawings. There's an A, B, and C. And with the parking behind the building, it really made a lot of wasted space, the way that they had to accommodate different things. Like they had to have a strip of median to get the separation with the parking behind the building. So that segues into the next. Are you guys okay with this point? Because it kind of segues into the next point.
Well, when you refer to Main Street, we do not have a street called Main Street right now. So is this their Main Street?
So our ordinance prescribes what Main Street is.
What is it?
Well, thank you for asking. It is, section 6.4.2.2, the new street to be designated Main Street shall run east to west through the former Tannery and connect to School Street, et cetera.
Whatever they come up with that School Street.
Yeah, and it might not be called Main Street, but conceptually that's it.
Okay.
And they're okay with designing it to those standards. They even talked about doing 10-foot sidewalks, pretty much exactly like we want.
But I remember years ago when we voted on this, and the reason that we did have those setbacks is that we wanted buildings that were going to be up to the sidewalk. And we didn't want to have that view that you drive and you see this cavernous parking lot with the building there.
Yeah, so it's only in that section. So the buildings that have frontage where it's School Street and Main Street, that corner, where it's the entrance off of School Street, it's only gonna be in that area. The setback will apply everywhere else.
Okay.
So for buildings that are on Sullivan and Main Street, or just Sullivan, they're still subject to that same form-based code.
And Wilson?
Yes, yep. And, go ahead.
They will be adding a new driveways off of Route 9 School Street. And what does that do to required traffic studies or anything like that as they go forward?
It'll all be part of it. An involved traffic study will all be part of it. Especially when you're doing turns onto school and onto everything else.
I mean, I think that you would probably want to have driveways coming in off of quote-unquote Main Street and Wilson because there's less traffic instead of coming onto School Street.
This next one, the lot coverage and the lot width, I think that was pertaining to them subdividing into small lots, where I think they're gonna keep it as big of lots as possible to keep it all under one development scheme.
So are we going to have a maximum lot coverage? Because it says something, and then you're striking the 95%.
That'll be straight into it.
Okay.
I just missed it straight. And then the maximum building footprint, that came with the Gamble plan. If you remember, they had a 3 or 4 story building that spanned the entire School Street side. And we go, that's ridiculous. I went and looked at, so like Station Square is 21,000 square foot footprint, and we don't want to prevent something like that from being built. So I think there are other provisions there where they can't have a blank wall. I think if they want to build a building that's 16,000 square foot or even 20,000 square foot, I don't think we want to prevent that. The next thing is striking the requirement for parking behind the building, behind or to the side, and just keeping in mind that any parking lot that is in front of a building will need to be screened. I think most of their parking is gonna be behind the building, but again, the School Street is an exception, and possibly even, like Sullivan Street will be to the side of the L-shaped building, but it'll be facing the street. There'll be screening, but you wanna have access, it's that balance of the drivers seeing the building, but also having the parking lot screened.
What's the status of the Blue Side building, James, and the Wilson Street parking lot at this point? Has the town turned that back over to Fund of Jupiter?
The Wilson Street parking lot was turned over with the Central Prime site. The Blue Side building is complete and ready to be transferred. And the grassy area across from the Blue Side building is part of it.
We'll go back to Mark. Go back to Fund of Jupiter.
Yeah, go back. This is the on-street parking, started parallel only, get rid of that. Again, this is the parking thing, and the other thing is getting rid of the parking maximum. They're probably gonna wanna have, I think what they're probably gonna have is on the L-shaped building side, that's gonna be the more pedestrian area. And they're gonna have the more residential area towards the other School Street, or Sullivan Street side. So that's where they're gonna wanna have a lot more parking on that side. and then to not have more parking lots on the other side. Just makes sense to have a bigger parking lot.
I realize they're working on some concept plans to actually present. Do you know if we're going to end up with a net positive on green space?
Yeah. Well, there'll be a net positive on open space, because they have envisioned, they're gonna use some of the green space, but they're gonna create some plaza space. So they have to meet 25% open space, and they're gonna meet that easily.
I think everybody's kind of anxious to see what they come in with. I was just asking if they had where that was at.
And they're gonna have a community update meeting, I think it's August 11th. It's on Facebook. It's one of the second weeks in August, second weeks in August. And I believe they're aiming to be able to share their plan. And the key distinction now is it's not just a concept plan. This is an engineered plan. It's no longer just good thoughts and ideas. These are, a lot of time has gone into it already. I'm done with I know that was a lot. I'm sorry, that was.
Can you send us that? Can you email that to us?
Yeah. And then I got one more thing, is just other venue ordinance amendments. I think these are these are a lot more simple. And let me share my screen real quick.
Careful.
You're doing that.
I know, right?
Well, you're doing that, James. Mike Lassell was the one that helped us very much to put that together. Should we run any of this by him, or what do you think? Leave it up to you.
Yeah, I think he could at least be a third-party review, and I'm hoping he's one of the architects that actually builds one of the buildings. So that, we'll see where that goes from there. But yeah, I think bringing him in for some guidance would be appropriate.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even.
Okay. This is just the first two are just the sawmill amendment. I mean, the 30 is an arbitrary number, 50 is fairly arbitrary as well. But as I think with Tom, Mr. Wright's project, 30 just seems pretty low. So I don't know what the number should be, but that's at least a starting point. I don't think we have to get too deep into that. The third thing is just clarifying that RCI is restricting it to frontage on Route 9 and 4. The numbers are officially capped as of now. We have 2 applications that we have 3. We have one that's already going through planning board now. We have 2 more that are pending. So the numbers have been capped in I believe, starting October-ish. The only marijuana applicants we'll see are existing applicants that might be amending their site plans within their own already approved conditional use.
So we had 14, 15, 16?
I think the number is 14. That's enough. On that topic, we've had an influx of folks who want to move to Berwick to grow medical marijuana in their home, and it's becoming an issue. So the next 2 amendments are clarifying. So I spoke with Phil yesterday, and what you can do is you can restrict the growers who want to do medical marijuana. They can only grow for their family. And I think that gets to the issue where people want to move and they want to grow for their 6 patients. So that's one way of at least starting to control that. And then lastly, it's exempting marijuana testing facilities from the permit cap, because I think marijuana testing facilities have a high potential for like personal property value, potentially property taxes, and it's a relatively low impact of a use. And we have so many facilities, it just makes sense to have one, maybe on Route 4.
All right, can you send us that too?
Sure.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question about, I didn't get the updated, I didn't see the updated marijuana ordinances until now. Limiting home production, I kind of have an issue with that, being as a medical marijuana caregiver now and and working from home. I mean, that would limit what I could do. I mean, and other people that already own a place that are doing it.
Let's talk about that, and we can refine something and try to figure out how we can control, like, start to regulate it.
Yeah. I just think limiting that, like, you should still be, because now as a caregiver, you can have up to 500 square foot of flowering canopy or 6 patients, with, 5 patients, whichever, you sign up for your license.
Yeah, it's just, the issue is that it's becoming prevalent everywhere, and I guess it has.
What's the issue behind it? Why do we need to regulate it? I'm just curious.
Just seems like a lot. It's just.
It seems like a lot to who?
To me, but it's also code enforcement as well.
Is there a problem?
There's been one issue.
Well, I'm just curious. Just give me an example.
It's just when the neighbors know they're growing marijuana. I guess that's the issue.
Is it odor control?
Yeah, right. I mean, I guess the issues just need to be focused around odor control and.
We could work a little bit more on that instead of.
Or as long as it's not
a nuisance for people, I think that it shouldn't be an issue.
I understand what you're saying, James. I really wouldn't like to over-regulate something like that just because people get a little freaked out that people are growing marijuana next door. I mean, people have been doing that for decades, and now that it's more known that it's being done, but maybe there's a better way to control the odor if that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
And maybe tie something into the odor control ordinance that even if you are, a marijuana home production, that you still have to abide by those odor control issues.
Yeah, I spoke with Phil, and he gave me a bunch of ideas, and I was like, ooh, that's a good lead on it, and that was my first crack at it, so I'm definitely open to figuring something better out.
I think this one just is slightly a little restrictive.
people just move into town and automatically stop doing this? I mean,
we've had
land use ordinance. Do they have to come in and get a permit? Mike, did you have to go in and get a permit, land use permit from the town?
No, because it's an accessory use.
But an accessory use requires a permit. I mean, I'm just wondering, you've got these people that are moving in and doing this. Should they all be coming in and getting?
Well, you have to get licensed with the state. I mean, you get licensed with the state, and that, as far as I know, that has been the.
That's it. That's it. I don't think that we need to.
Finds out about it is that all of a sudden calls and says, "Hey, I think you're doing personal growth." I mean,
It doesn't.
it seems like the whole thing needs to be not just slotted out like this, but let's tighten the whole thing up. I mean, anybody that's doing it right now is grandfathered, obviously.
yeah.
So, I mean, Mike, you're okay, but, I mean, if we've got more and more of these things coming in, I agree with Dave, not over-regulating it, but let's at least have a tracking system, or does the state notice us if they've got like.
Or maybe just have a town license that you have to file for just at home accessory use.
$100.
Yeah.
Something like that. But at least now you go in and track it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, like a relatively affordable, just the license, just get everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a license, something.
I'd be interested to know how legal that actually is with the state. How do you say that?
Town are doing this. Do you have a number?
For
28, 30?
It seems like dozens.
All right. So James, who is this marijuana that's being grown? Who's this marijuana that's being grown? Is for personal use.
It's for themselves. It's for their family. It's for their patients.
Okay. And Mike, what are we limited to? Mike, is it 6 plants per patient?
Yes, 6 flowering plants per patient, yeah. But there's also, there's different licensing for medical use. If you're a caregiver, you can either have the 500 square foot of flowering canopy with no limit as to plant count, or you have the 6 flowering plants per patient. So you have options of how many licenses you want, like how many patients you have, or if it's just a bigger grow.
but you're not capped on patients. You're capped on
You
patients
are,
per patient.
you're either capped at the 5 patients or the 500 square foot of flowering care.
Oh, okay.
So can you give me?
I think that we need to just take a little bit more time on this because you know what? I think I'd be a lot more freaked out with the neighbor I had a neighbor who had beehives in their backyard. And if we're going to start regulating things like this, then we're going to have to start regulating beehives. Thankfully, he only had a couple, but if he had 6 and I was his next door neighbor and they were swarming my backyard, you know, I think I'd be a little worried. I think we need to not over-regulate and just learn a little bit more and see what the impact is, right?
James, you may have missed it at the beginning, you were trying to share a screen or whatever, but I asked that when you said Patty was talking about a special meeting in October, if you back it up from there, what's the time milestones we have to hit for hearings and this, that, and the other? Have you got that
End of
laid
August.
out?
Yeah, well, that would be public hearing on the 6th.
It's right on top of us again, you know?
So I think maybe we can kind of correspond, or maybe we set the public hearing now, and then if a week from now we feel like no.
Why can't we go in November?
I think it's because if we can avoid doing a local ballot and just do presidential ballot, I think that's where Patty wants to be.
I think we're gonna have a higher turnout if we do it in November versus.
Right, but so the reason is I think that's the reason is so I think like there will be a local issue that Steve or some other issue will come up, but if we're the only one, that means that becomes 4,000 more ballots. Or 3,000 more ballots that have to be entered into the machines sent out. It's a tremendous, I mean, I spent 4 hours on election day I spent 5 hours or 4 hours straight just putting it in.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a single ballot, do you approve the land use ordinance, and you stick it through the machine, and it's gonna count yes, no, 2,800 to whatever.
Right, but, okay, I'll talk to Patty
I
about it.
wouldn't think that that's the issue we're trying to rush it. I would prefer, especially this one here, where David and Mike are expressing some good concerns, that you spend the time looking at this thing.
Yeah, so my thing would be, I would ask us to set the public hearing and get rid of anything that's questionable and just move on the things that we're okay with. And then if Dave a week from now goes, this is no good, then we cancel it. The village overlay district stuff is just something that will say, for whatever reason, we can't get on the November ballot, which, I don't know.
All right, why don't we scrap the second document that you sent for now?
Yeah.
We'll work on this, but the village overlay stuff, I think we could work on.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I'm okay with that. I don't wanna rush this other
I don't have a
part.
problem with that, other than I'd like to see if Mike Lassell has any comment, but other than that, I think what James is pulling off on that's pretty good.
Yeah, I can get Mike Lass's comments for the public hearing, or even have him come, or or either way.
All right, let's do that for the 6th then.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? Well, we have no public, anybody in the meeting room? Probably not.
Nope.
All right. Next thing on the agenda then would be the adjournment.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, what?
Can you just skip over additional items?
Informational items.
Anything else under the land use ordinance?
What's that?
I don't know, I guess we're on informational items.
What was your question, Frank?
Yeah, I thought you were saying anything else, and I thought you were just only talking about the land use ordinance. I mean, I had a couple of items I wanted to bring up under the informational items.
Oh, that's what I meant. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Please make sure you guys grab a copy of the town report. Although it wasn't officially announced, and it'll probably be announced after the fact here, because the town report had to be made available to the townspeople 3 days before we voted. But it was dedicated to Pat and Paul Boger. There's a nice little write-up in the front. James put that together. I provided a picture that we had of Pat and Paul. Grab that and go through that. It's a nice little tribute to them. And I saw them today, and they picked up a copy when they voted, and they were very, very surprised and pleased, so.
That's great.
And the other thing I wanted to do, Dave, at some point, talk about the comprehensive plan and making sure that, because that findings of fact, that item number 1, it doesn't comply or not comply with, you know, I think we ought to have a little bit of a discussion on some of the items in there, because I went back through the 1991 plan, which was the last time it was really formulated with 70 or 80 or 90 people. And there are some things in there that I think are well worth looking at. In light of what's happening down on the pond road area, there's a corridor of settlement, early settlement passageways up through there. It falls out under one of the 5 vistas that should be preserved in the town. So if you've got the 1991 plan, and James, if you've got some of the original maps for that thing, because I have a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. By the time you look at all the little crosshatches and stuff, it looks like just one shaded area. But please, if you've got a copy of that, James, with color or whatever, preserve that, and I think it would be well worth everybody on the board to at least flip through that. There's a lot of good information in there under the policy and action item concerns. So, but we should plan on having that kind of a discussion well before we get into the comprehensive plan being formulated in final form with the committee that's doing it. So, that's all I have.
All right, Mike, do you have anything?
I got nothing.
David? Anything else, James?
Just real quick. So I've been on the comprehensive plan, the new comprehensive plan committee. We're probably a year, we'll probably shoot for November of next year for it to be adopted. We did the survey, and then we took a break for the holiday, and then by the time we started ramping back up, COVID hit, so we went online. Everyone's invited to join us during these meetings. We have the school board chair, we have reps from the businesses, public safety, pretty much any stakeholder you can think of has been on the committee in some form. Similar to Envision Berwick, we have like a different person. We have a same core that's there, and we'll have a new face come, and it kind of adds a different flavor. We talk about, we've gone through just about a lot of the different sections and chapters, and now we have a working draft right now. So if you want to see that, I can email that to you guys too.
But you know how a map is worth 1,000 words? I think please look at some of those older maps, because it talks about inventory of open spaces to be preserved. I mean, historical features. I mean, those all have a bearing when we run into some of these highly contested or public input projects. And if you could fall back on something that is recognized by the historical group or by the, recreation or wildlife, I mean, like I read that by you, James, deer yards, those are supposed to be preserved, and any trails that connect deer yards, which means you're not supposed to build them. And I think there's a map of those somewhere, so.
There is.
Okay, next on the agenda is the adjournment.
Do a motion to adjourn tonight's planning board meeting.
Okay, we have a motion from David.
I'll second.
Seconded from Michael. Okay, Frank, roll call vote.
Yes, I will.
David,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right, gentlemen, thank you. Have a good night. And thank you to Terry. Thank you to Jennifer, who already logged off. All right.
Good work, guys.
That was fun.
Actually worked out a lot better than I thought it would.